Hi, today I'm going to compare two similar but not exactly the same flashlights. The first one, the one I'm going to compare it to is this one. It's a CREE XML 1600 lumen flashlight. Awesome little flashlight, and it is actually focusable. Okay, now there's some pluses to that and some minuses to that, but I think the pluses far outweigh the minuses. I'm going to compare it to a 502B Ultrafire, WF-502B Ultrafire. Similar brightness, but as you can see, there is a size difference, both in length, weight, and width. Okay, but like I said, there's pluses to both of them. Okay. Number one plus with a 502B is that it is definitely watertight, or can be made into watertight. Watch my video. I have a video that shows you how to change the O-rings to make it much more watertight. But right out of the box, it's quite watertight all by itself. Okay. This one will never be watertight. It can't be made watertight because the function of expanding and contracting the cylinder has to allow air in and out of the actual cylinder itself. Otherwise, you would pop it out and it would just suck itself back in, or you would pop it in and it would blow itself back up because of the pressure inside the unit. That's one of the problems. But this is a really nice flashlight. Second nice thing about this flashlight is that it's focusable, and I have mounted it on my shotgun, and I'll show you how to modify this flashlight to make it useful on a shotgun, because as you can see, this is quite loose, and the recoil on a shotgun would definitely change the focus on this flashlight. So next I'm going to show you what it looks like, what the beam pattern looks like, and what you can do with this one compared to the WF-502B. Okay, much darker now, but I am, testing out these flashlights, as you can see. Okay, in my right hand, my right hand I have the CREE XML 16, and in my left hand I have the 502B. The Ultrafire 502B. Now, what you can see is that the 502B has a fixed focus, and it appears brighter, but really it isn't. It's just a difference in the way it actually is focused. Now, I'm going to show you these two, what patterns these two flashlights make against the wall. Okay, that's the 502B, and it has a fixed spot, and you can see it in the center there. And over here is the the CREE XML, and it doesn't have that bright center. It has just a bright overall beam. Now you can focus that, as you can see, and you get a much brighter beam. Unfortunately, on the 502B, you only get the spot in the center and the residual ring around it, which is nice. It's actually quite good at doing what it's supposed to do, but it's unfocusable. Okay, so now we're going to concentrate only on the the CREE XML 16, and as you can see, you can bring it into a very tight focus, which gives you that little square, bright square in the center, which will blind you. It's very bright, and you can adjust the focus to a full wide length pattern. Now, both are useful in different situations. Okay, so there's what you get the ability to do with this flashlight. Full gives you about, at this range, about a 10-foot square beam, but then you get a very focused tight light, and that goes a long ways, very bright. Okay, so next I'm going to disassemble it. Okay, here we have the two flashlights. This is the Ultrafire WF-502B, and this is the CREE XML 16. They're very similar in length. Let me zoom that out a bit for you. And as you can see on my caliper, it's 5.3. They're both 5.3 inches or so, maybe a little bit less on the Ultrafire. But here's the difference. When you focus out to a fine point, the CREE XML 16, it gets much larger. As you can see, it's beyond 6 inches. So there's one difference between the two flashlights. Like I said before, the Ultrafire cannot be focused. It's a fixed focus. Number one. And because of that, there's no moving exterior parts, which allows you to have it be much more sealable. I put O-rings on this. I have a video that shows you how I put the O-rings on it and made it absolutely watertight. Now, I've seen this single flashlight here for sale for as much as $70 as a kit, but you can easily get the same kit on Amazon for under $20 or under $30. So I'd be leery of you know, who sells you what, but if you follow my link, you'll get the best deal on this flashlight. This flashlight, again, oh sorry, and just for the flashlight alone, no batteries, nothing, just the flashlight, you can get it under $10. Okay. This is very similarly priced. It's under $10 without any batteries or anything on it, just the flashlight. And let me come in a little closer so you can see get better detail on it. There we go. And as you can see, it's focusable. Has a nice LED in it, a very bright light LED in it with a reflector built in as well. I'm going to disassemble this whole thing so you can see every component of it. They usually come with orange or green buttons. I have two of them. One of them has an orange button, the other one has a green button. It's got 1, 2, so it's got the strobe, SOS, and bright, medium bright, and low range. I believe it's five ranges anyway. I'll put the description I'll put the specs in the description. Once again, I like this flashlight very much, and I'm going to proceed to disassemble it for you. Okay, so you can see what the components are that it comes with. All right. First off, take this flashlight apart. You take the forward ring off here, and then you'll see, you know, the first component, which is the locking ring. This locking ring keeps the lens, which is also a magnifying glass if you want to use it as such, which may have some survival uses, as you can use it to focus sunlight. Okay, so there's the lens. You can take that stuff and put it aside here. There we go. So next you have the two inner rings which hold the this clip on here. Okay, best way to get that off is to use I'm using a set of clip pliers, so they'll fit right into those two little holes there, and just turn. Now this one came apart much nicer and easier than my last one. The last one took a lot of force to take it apart, so you can put it super tight if you wish. So then you just turn this ring. Let's get that ring all the way off. There we go. And that's that ring off of there. And note that there's also a little clear mylar spacer washer underneath it. So I'm going to keep that, probably to keep you from squashing any of the electronics. Okay, so make sure you keep that in sequence. Okay, there we go. And now you're seeing the electronics, the CREE circuit board. All right. Next step would be to take off this outer ring, and basically all I'm doing is holding it and turning it like this. And as you can see, it's coming further and further out. My last one, the other one I had a set of holes on it too for that as well, but you could actually use the circuit board if you wanted to, but there's no need, it's not that tight. And there is the light assembly. Okay, all out. And as you can see, it's got 2 O-rings on it, which I'm going to change because I find it a little too loose on this housing. And I'm thinking that when you're using when I mount it on a shotgun, which is what I have already done, this will move with the recoil. Okay, so all you need to do is put some larger diameter O-rings on that, and that'll make this much stiffer and harder to focus. Sorry, harder to dislodge from recoil. Okay, so there's that component. Then the outer focus ring, and then we got the main housing. In the main housing, you're going to find a spacer. Spacers put there just to make this the battery not rattle around. This flashlight is actually thicker than the 502B. So let me continue on here. Just go like this so you can see the sequence here. Like that. And I'll give you a diameter reading on this. This is important because you're going to need a mount to put this on, and usually the mounts come in excuse me, in millimeters. So let's put it on to millimeters. And as you can see, 28 millimeters. Now the only mount I could find that was near it was 30 millimeters. So I modified it slightly. I'll make another video on how to mount this onto Mossberg Maverick 88 with a 30 millimeter ring, and it works beautifully. Okay, but regardless, just know that's 28 millimeters in diameter. Okay, so next, there you have the main housing, made of aluminum, solid, pretty solid, very solid, I'd have to say, housing. So there's that. Continue on, and finally, we have the rear housing, which houses the power switch and the shock absorbing recoil spring, as they call it. I would say that this is probably a friction fit. You could take it apart if you want to, but I don't need to. One more thing here, as you can, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a O-ring here that seals this collar to this housing here. Okay, so, but as I said, you can modify the O-ring setup all you want. This particular flashlight, because it's zoomable, will probably never be waterproof. It'll be at best water resistant. Okay, maybe you can figure out a way to do it. Personally, not all that important to me because I'm not going underwater with it. It's going to be mounted on my shotgun and it's going to be staying out of the water. Okay, so there it is, fully disassembled. Next thing I'm going to do is put some O-rings on it. And as you can see, these O-rings are very, very small, so I'm going to pick them off. Yeah, this is the trick here. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm just going to pick these out and try not to damage the housing too much. There we go. Oops. One O-ring gone. Two O-rings gone. And I'm going to back this up a bit here for you. I have a kit full of O-rings here. You can get that as well on Amazon if you wish. And all I need to do really is get myself a larger diameter on the outside of these O-rings. They're not very large right now. And while that makes it nice and easy to slip forward and backward the focus ring, it also creates another issue that it makes it too easy to move. When mounted to a shotgun, the recoil will make the focus go off. So I'm going to try what size is it? It's a P10A. It's a 9.8 by 2.4 millimeter O-ring. And prior to putting it on, I like to stretch them out a bit. As it is rubber, it's very small and you got to stretch it quite a ways. So I'm just putting them inside my clip pliers here and stretching them out a little bit. I see a little nick on that one, so I'm going to take that one and leave it alone. Sorry, I'm using the 10.8 by 2.4 millimeter rings. There we go. And maybe put a little Vaseline or some sort of lubricant on them to put them on. Probably make your life a little easier. Next, you want to stretch them out over this light housing, and you will get that problem. They will snap. Stretch it out again. There we go. This will help. And no, this is not easy to do. There we go. There's number one. And as you can see, it's a much wider fit. I don't know if you can see it, but it's going to be a much tighter fit on this unit. Let's find out, see what it looks like, feels like already. And I find it too tight at this point. So I'm going to have to go with a smaller diameter ring. Alright, after a little trial and error, I found that the correct size, believe it or not, is the 9.8 by 2.4 millimeter O-ring, which doesn't even look like it would fit, but it does. There it is. There's one on it. And first of all, I'm going to hand stretch it here. I found that using my circlip pliers wasn't a good thing because it was nicking them and then causing them to break. So I'm going to use my screwdriver and my finger here and just pull them to stretch them out a bit, like that. There you go. And then from the rear end of the housing, put the ring over like that and work it around the edges. And I find in this case, using my little probe and going around like this is the best way to do that. And then keeping it underneath without the point actually sticking it is also another good trick. So just keep going around like this. There's one step. Final step is get it onto the top ring and just like this. There we go. Now the next thing you need to do is I would run it on a surface like this just to work the rings into the grooves a bit more because it is rather tight. But that is the whole point. Next, into the housing as level as possible. This requires quite a bit of force. As you can see, but there's a reason for that. You want it to be nice and tight and snug so it doesn't slip. I'm going to use the flashlight housing, as you can see here, to force it down. There we go. see if I can actually get a bite on it yet. Nope, not yet. It's off center there. Like I said, it becomes really snug in there, hard to get at, but work it and you'll get it in there. Perhaps a little more lubrication would have helped me. Okay, there we go. So now I'm just going to clean the outside edges of the outside of this, because my hands are covered in Vaseline and I got no grip on it. Alright, after a lot of coaxing and putting it in and taking it out a few times, greasing it up a lot with a lot of Vaseline or grease or whatever you want to use in there, I actually got the 9.8 by 2.4 millimeter O-rings to work, and now you get a really snug fit. As you can see, that requires quite a bit of force to make it move, okay, but that's what I wanted, because that keeps the recoil from my shotgun from actually keeping it from going out of focus. So it's a lot more snug, a lot tighter with those O-rings on it. Next we're going to put it back together again. Okay, so basically what happened is I took the body and the light housing, put it back together, screwed it back together again, and now I got a way more snug fit in there. Plus I put Vaseline on the inside to make it nice and lubricated. Alright, next. See a little bit of junk on that. There we go. We'll put the locking ring in. What this ring does is it acts as a reflector and it keeps the electronics down nice and snug. Excuse me. There we go. So I'm just going to start it with this, with my little electronics probe. There we go. Be careful, because you will go right through to the inside of the electronics. You will actually touch them. So there we go to that point. Next point. Just snug, don't go super tight. Alright, and I made the mistake already. The mistake being, I didn't put the plastic washer behind it, which means it would have shorted out the electronics. So, guess we get to do that again. Okay. There's a mylar, rubber, whatever you want to call it. It goes on top. And obviously it keeps the two solder points from shorting out. So that's kind of a key point, putting this reflector back on. As I said, you'd never make this flashlight waterproof, because it needs to allow air in and out to be able to expand its size and contract its size. But you can make it water resistant, so by putting a few O-rings in there, like I just did. That'll help a lot. Next, the lens, curved side out, just drops in there like that, and the O-ring on the end will, the locking ring will center it. Just like that. As you can see, it requires a lot more force to get it going now than it used to. which is nice, because that means it won't lose its focus when it's on my shotgun. Next, spacer for the battery. Next, battery itself. I'll show you the alternative. I believe, no, it didn't come with an alternative battery case. Basically what you're going to need is a LC 18650 or 18,650. I'm using the 300 milliamp hours. You can get whatever you'd like, but that's what I'm using. And last but not least, there already is an O-ring on that. You may want to put a little bit of I'm going to put a little bit of Vaseline on that. You can use whatever you'd like, whatever kind of grease you'd like, but it's just what I got handy. And it seems to work just fine. So I'll put a little bit of Vaseline around the ring and put it back together again. And there we go. So there's the finished product. As you can see, it is now way harder to move that focus in and out, which is what I wanted. If you want it to remain loose, if you're never going to mount it on a gun and you don't need to worry about recoil, then just leave the same O-rings on it. I just like the way it feels this way anyways. It just makes it seem much more solid. But it's up to you. There's my full tear down modification of the CREE XML 16 zoomable, focusable 1600 lumen flashlight. And as you can see, working just fine. Very bright. Thanks for watching.